Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me this evening for sleep management. Tonight, we're going to dive down into this topic that is so elusive for so many. Whether you are not able to fall asleep, not able to stay asleep, or you're tired during the day after you think you've had a full night's sleep, there's lots that we can do to change that in our home and in our own bedrooms. And that's my job to help you find that out. My name is Katy Rose, and I'm a certified functional medicine health coach. And my background started just like most people in this sector, where there's a passion. There was an illness, a deep illness in me, and I was able to attend to that through the service of functional medicine and the education of functional medicine. Functional medicine is the study of the root cause of disease and the understanding that we innately are well, and how we get basically back to those original factory standard settings and how to get back to being who we are. So some of the ways that I serve my clients is as a one-on-one coach, helping them map out their own personal goals and desires and helping them achieve that with one-on-one coaching. Group coaching sessions, we host all types of topics: diabetes, sleep management, appetite management, longevity, you name it, a long list. Group coaching is a wonderful tool for community and for wellness. Also, I work in people's homes with kitchen, like a kitchen cleanup, a pantry clean out, education on what's happening in their pantry, as well as taking them into the stores and showing them a real breakdown on how to shop, and then bringing them back and showing them how to cook. So, and then finally, I do have a cute little membership that gives you all kinds of access to all kinds of free goodies. And it's like $5 a month, cup of coffee a month. So those are some fun things that I do with people. As far as sleep management goes, we'll dive in now. I think, people understand the woes of poor sleep. I mean, I laugh that it's a way to be more attractive and more intelligent, more productive. And I have a theory that hasn't been added to any medical journals yet, but that is that it regulates your hormones to the point that you probably smell better and attract more. So this is just kind of a fun little hypothesis of mine. But, the woes of not getting a good night's sleep, gosh, everything from appetite management, regulation of all your major organs. We have the brain function. So we see dementia as a result from sleep issues, depression and anxiety. We see cardiovascular and metabolic issues, weight gain, diabetes, cancer, autoimmune, fibromyalgia, chronic pain management. All of these things are impacted by poor sleep. And they're exacerbated by poor sleep, and sometimes they are stemmed from poor sleep. So those are some of the things that obviously we don't want happening. We don't want it to get that far. And if it already is, then there's hope that turning this sleep subject around could actually do a huge health service for you. And that's what we're going to work on tonight. The benefits, as we know, just being in a better mood, your brain works better. We all know that. One of the reasons the brain works better is the lymphatic wash or flush that happens during the sleep. That amyloid plaque that feeds to dementia, it's the mucky stuff. Literally, there's a chemical wash of the brain that happens when you get a good night's sleep. But then also it's fueling your function of all of your major organs. It repairs the body. It is that time where we drop into a parasympathetic state that allows our body to do the healing that it does naturally. When we're in a fight or flight mode all the time in life is busy, that it creates an environment where we are just holding on. And the parasympathetic allows us to drop down and release. And then our body does what it naturally is supposed to do. But if we're not getting sleep, there's no time for that. We talked about mood management. They are now saying that you literally cannot lose weight if you're not getting proper sleep. That if you're doing everything right and you can't lose weight, maybe it's time to take a peek at the sleep. And you may think you're getting a full night's sleep, but what is the depth and breadth of that sleep? Um, it regulates all systems. And I think I highlighted the appetite management. When we're not getting enough sleep, we will try to replace that energy store with another fuel, with quick, easy to access fuel. And this is when we are, have made a decision to have willpower and stick to a diet or to not consume something, but we just find ourselves, eating something that we hadn't planned on, or gorging on something we hadn't planned on, or having the temptation of that donut shop we passed is too much to resist. So these are all things that poor sleep can contribute to, but good sleep can really help, right? So poor sleep takes away from, and good sleep helps and elevates. Tonight, I want to share some hacks that you can dive down into your own home and in your own life. And for the most part, they're not going to cost you anything or next to nothing. And that's my favorite. So FREE. For starters, understanding the circadian rhythm and understanding the response to light. So the quickest and easiest thing that I can think of doing for most people is to start their day with an influx of positive, warm sunlight. Now, if you live in a cool climate and that's not an option, maybe you live in a cool, cloudy climate. Maybe you're in a part of the world where it's dark a good portion of the winter. Then you want to start thinking about alternatives that maybe aren't free, but would help with this process. So when we activate sunlight first thing in the morning, we are literally setting a clock so that we start to run out of that sunlight fuel at the end of the day. We're starting our clock, helping it to understand that there's a timeline and that there will be a close to that. So you're opening up the shop for business with that sunlight and closing it down at night. When we cannot get enough sunlight in the morning, we can't be out in light, open windows in your work environment. And this is warm light, not fluorescent light or LED light, but warm light, preferably the sunlight. Then look at alternatives. Put a warm incandescent lamp in your desk space. Bring in there's lots of places depending on your area, especially in metropolitan areas. You want to look at bringing in infrared sauna, the far infrared sauna. You can put one in your home. It's quite an investment there, but you can put that in something in your rotation and go to a spa service. Or I think, gosh, in Phoenix, I think they have them for you can do it for $10. I can't remember. They're called hot spots or something like that. And it's 45 minutes of this wonderful sauna of sun value. Blue light versus red light, understanding that we actually need a full spectrum of light, but the modern age has given us a dive down into blue light more. So on your phones, there's a setting on your cell phone. I was going to try to show you on mine, but I don't think I can get to it efficiently. If you, on the smartphones, the Apple smartphones, if you scroll on the first page with the widgets, you can go into where you can adjust the lighting and the amount of light on the brightness. And if you press on it, then you can actually turn on more of a red light tone on the second option. So take a peek at that. Find ways to pull back on the blue light because that is contaminating our circadian rhythm and our process. Likewise with evening. So we talked about the morning, now talk about the evening. So with evening lighting, one of the things I do in the household is dim things, bring it down. When I moved in with my significant other, he would have lamps, really turned up all the way, lighting all over the house. And for me, understanding that this is the beginning process of telling our body that the business is closing for the day, right? We talked about that. So turning everything down so that it's something that you just have a little bit of warm light. I like to think of the cavemen around the fireplace. Yes, they had that fireplace in the evening, so they had some light, but it was mostly dark in their environment with a little bit of central light, and it was red, it was warm. There's been an interesting study that came out quite a while ago. I had heard mention on from one of the doctors that I work with that it's a light bulb study. A couple of notes. One, that the advent of chronic disease started with the advent of the light bulb. And, I don't know if this is a hypothesis or how much dive down they did into this study, but essentially likening it to breaking up our rhythm, our natural flow, and the natural order of things. And they have found that in city environments, insects and animals actually have been impacted by the LED like light posts. So it's a real impact. For your room, that's another area that you can focus on. And so in the list of hacks, you've always heard that a cool, dark room. And the reason for this is you create an environment, not only we've talked about light and the impact of light, when you have even a little bit of light in your bedroom, or you look at your phone in the middle of the night to check the time, or you have the digital clock, which I don't know if anybody still has those, but if you do, any light coming into your eyes at night or that you take a look at in the middle of the night resets that body clock, and it disrupts and pulls you out, and you literally have a measurable effect the next morning. So if night after night you don't have any light coming in, you're not checking your phone or your clock in the middle of the night, you're completely blacked out, and then you're doing great, you're showing great results in the morning after tests, and then one night you take a look in the middle of the night at something, those are measurable, marked results the next day of the impact on your incoming sleep opportunity. So really want to pull away from that. And I figure if you're tuning into this conversation that you probably are really having some serious sleep issues, all of these little puzzle pieces will get you there. So what I want you to keep in mind is that this is a multi-pronged approach. This is a multi-pronged attack. It's something that if you think, oh, I just want one big silver bullet, it's not. It's a shotgun approach. It's lots of little arrows coming at this subject. So with regard to the darkness, you want to get technology out of the room. So not only are we dealing with light stimulus from the chargers and the various means that technology emits light, but it also emits the electromagnetic frequencies, and these are a certain vibration. We know through quantum physics and through understanding electric waves that it's a certain level of stimulus coming at us. If you felt an earthquake or a truck or a helicopter going by your bedroom and it was a rumble, that is a stimulus, that is a vibration. And these electromagnetic fields do interrupt the restful, cooling, peaceful place of sleep that allows for repair. So that's talking about darkness, blackout shades. So take technology out, blackout shades. And honestly, in our house, we have kind of a little bit of a battle on this whole subject because he's not as in need of some of these sleep supports as I am, which I'd love to run a sleep test on him and see how deep his sleep is actually getting. I wear an eye mask. So you can get them in all sizes and colors. They should totally black out the light, but I sleep in an eye mask every night. It's great because when I travel on planes or I'm in hotels, it takes care of me. I'm used to it. It's something that I almost can't sleep without now. So again, avoiding light, looking at light, take the electronics out. Cool. So cool temperatures, again, kind of referenced dropping that temperature down because you think about a hibernating bear. They drop down into that cooler temperature and it creates a deeper sleep. Now, I'm cold by nature, so I'm not going to ask too much of people in this category, but start to slowly adjust that thermostat to a little bit cooler. Optimally around 65 degrees. If that's too cold for you right now, you can just adjust it. Go for a week at one temperature lower. Try another week at another temperature lower. So right, a smidge a day is always my way of doing things. So you just lean into it a little bit at a time. whenever you are dropping that temperature down, you're allowing your body to actually go into a lower state and tap into that parasympathetic state. And they have shown that since the advent of climate control, a lot of this has changed in our lives. We used to have that warm versus cool fluctuation in our lives, in our activity, in our movement, and that's just not something that happens anymore. So one of the big things too is, you know, the activities in the bedroom. So creating a sanctuary in the bedroom where the bedroom, to your stimulus, to your body, to your awareness, that it is for nothing but sleep and intimacy. So, and the reason for that is if you're doing work in your bed, you're creating an environment that your body says, oh, when we're in this space, we have this trigger response if we're going to be working on our computer, or we're going to be, you know, on social media, or we're going to watch TV. All of these things feed into the puzzle of getting a good night's sleep. And so you really want to just look at your room and say, this is for two things only, and intimacy and sleep. And that's it. And that way your body will have that response every time it goes in there. So this is a really weird one that came up recently for me. So I ended up with the Omicron virus back in January, I think it was, January of 22. And since then, and I still am fighting a little bit of a nasal. I did not have a snoring problem before Omicron, and it is a lingering thing that I have now. I have snoring and a little bit of sinus issues. I eat a super pristine diet, so I know that it's not my inflammatory responses to diet. And I know I'm just trying to still repair my body. So there was a thing that came up that I had never heard of before, and I thought for sure they were joking. But evidently it's becoming more and more popular, whether you have Omicron, whether you snore, and that is the focus on breathing through your nose at night and the healing power of breathing through your nose and the damaging experience of breathing through your mouth. And part of that has to do with you actually have a humidity system, a microbiome system of little germs and bugs that are good bacteria, and then you also have the space. When air comes through, it promotes nitric oxide in the blood. Nitric oxide feeds the lungs, gets deep into the lungs, and then promotes all kinds of health and wellness. It fuels, you know, all of our blood pumping organs, brain, heart. And so the result for this, because a lot of people just out of habit sleep with their mouth open, or they have a little bit of a sleep apnea and a pressure in their throat that causes when they're on their back to snore or to sleep with their mouth open and block a little bit of that, the nasal passageway. They're now taping. So it's called mouth taping for sleep. You can Google this, I'm not kidding. Medical tape, just medical tape. Now, I think this is really funny, and I kind of think that my husband is very entertained by the fact that I'm potentially taping my mouth every night. But I started doing it, and I'm still playing with the tapes because I've gotten different ones, and one was a little too aggressive of a medical tape. I did find out that the Somnifix, Somnifix, I think is how it's spelled, is evidently being highly regarded. You don't purse your lips, you don't you know, do anything, pucker or anything, you just kind of relax and put the tape on. Put it on however your mouth naturally falls open. So they call it mouth posture, which that's a thing, who knew? And I sleep like this. So this particular one, CVS, it's a, you know, it's kind of one of those meshy kinds of tapes that is kind of like fabricy. I find that this one comes off too easily, and in my sleep I yank it off. So you know, play around, figure out what works with you for you. I'm about to try the Somnifix tape. But the reality is that respiratory rates go up, the cardiovascular rates go up, your heart, your pulse, all these stimuli go up when you are sleeping with your mouth open. Not to mention, dentists will tell you all day long about the growth of bacteria in the mouth when you sleep with your mouth open. It just, for a million reasons, we're finding that it's just a indicative of disease, and it feeds disease. So just a fun little side note for you there. Moving on to other things that you can do, a wind down ritual. So, there is no way that we're going to go, produce, be effective, make things happen, get off a phone call, have just had our dinner, and then we're just going to go to sleep. It doesn't, our bodies don't work that way. We need a wind down period, and we need rituals. And so you need to create for yourself what you're going to be doing within the last 2 hours before bed. Definitely within the last hour before bed. And again, that's dimming the lights, cooling the house, bundle up in a blanket, and snuggle up and get into that snuggly emotional space. Also, no technology within 2 hours of bed. I am not always great about this, but I always feel the results of it now that I've become so sensitive and aware. The technology coming in at you is stimulus and fuel, bringing it down. We're starting to neutralize our brain function, not stimulate. One of my favorites is a warm Epsom salt bath with lavender. The magnesium in the Epsom salt helps to calm the body. The salts detox and pull out toxins. So if you have an achy body at all, Epsom salt bath is wonderful, and the lavender just calms everything. The other note on baths or showers before bed, literally taking a hot or cold shower before bed creates an adjustment in your temperature that your body outside of the bath or shower will respond to and then drop down. So it serves in that trying to drop the temperature overall. So even if you take a warm bath, and I'm not completely sure on all the details of how that works physically, but I know that doctors are now showing, and the science is now showing, that even a warm shower, you don't have to take a cool shower, because some people just are not positive about that idea. And then, one of the things too is if you've ever heard of legs up the wall. So this is a yoga pose. I don't know that it's considered yoga pose, but you can find it in the yoga poses. You get your warm Epsom salt bath, your lavender, you calm yourself down, sit in there for 20 minutes, let everything really relax. And then you go into your cool bedroom and do legs on the wall, up the wall. And basically that's where, like, this is the wall and your bum goes right against the wall, but your legs go straight up. So you're bent at the waist or at the hip flexor against the wall. And so this is your head, this is your bum, this is your legs up against the wall. Hopefully that made sense. The reason for that is it promotes lymphatic drainage, and swelling. It promotes the flushing of swelling. But it's a drop down calming action. It's about 15 minutes. Do a little less, a little more, whatever suits your fancy. But those are some things that the health gurus like to do to settle things down. These are all ideas. Take them as you can. The other thing too is understanding food and the mechanism of food in our lives, and that we are trying to synchronize our body and mind clock with daytime and nighttime, and anything that we do during the day is going to feed and stimulate that. So understanding that studies do show that when we eat the rainbow of vegetables, that we are creating an environment that promotes digestive health, and that when we eat processed foods, that's quite the opposite. And we understand that the majority of serotonin, which is that calming space that gets us into sleep, that chemical is promoted primarily out of the digestive tract and out of your gut. And then eating before bed. So this is a really big one for me because I love food and I love the comfort of food. And honestly, on a personal level, I love to have a bite to eat before bed. That changed significantly when I started having massive sleep issues in my life years ago and had to address it. So what I understand, or had to understand at the time, and of course now I teach, is that the cortisol rhythm, right? Your cortisol is like so overwhelmed by all this stimulus, and food is a stimulus. What happens with food? So if you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, gosh, every night I wake up at the same time, or every night I wake up in the middle of the night for a few hours and can't go back to sleep, I promise you, take a look at this category. So eating 2 to 3 hours before bed, it creates a cortisol boost in the middle of the night. And you wake up tired the next day because you've used up all your energy in the middle of the night. You boosted in the middle of the night, and now you're dragging because you have nothing left. So when I changed that function, that was huge for me. And I now to the point where I had gotten to where I could never eat close to bedtime. But sometimes you're at a party, you're out late, you've had a work event, and you just now are getting something to eat. Do the best you can to avoid that. And as you start to heal and repair your body in all of these conditions, there will be times in the future that those accidental incidents happen that your body is equipped for. So now I like make it my religion to never let it happen. But sometimes when that religion breaks and I have to eat something late, I think, gosh, I'm going to pay for this in just a little bit. And do I really want to do this? And now I'm to the place where hardly ever does it impact me, which is such a blessing, such a blessing. So the other thing too is the supplementation, herbs, essential oils, and vitamins and nutrients. So I love lavender oil capsules. You can get them at Sprouts. Sprouts Farmers Market is, I swear I should own stock in Sprouts Farmers Market. For 25 years, I've been going to their health department for guidance and advice and support. And they're an amazing resource. I can't get over. I can never say enough about their education of that staff. You can turn to that staff and they know just about everything. The few times in 25 years that I haven't been able to get the answer I needed out of the direct front-facing staff, they've turned me on to the manager, and I've been able to really be supported. I just think that they deserve an honorary degree over there. So lavender oil capsules. In the herbs, chamomile. We all know chamomile tea, and this is a great ritual thing. So, at a time when I wasn't having any sleep rituals and I was trying to integrate them, a bath, a chamomile tea, and some soft music and candlelight, and that brought me down to where I was able to enter into a sleep state. But you can take chamomile as a pill supplement tablet form. Passion flower, valerian root. If you have adrenal fatigue and you feel like you're constantly revved up and your engine's firing all the time, valerian root is a wonderful tool to drop it down real quick. Sometimes you just feel outside of yourself and you need something to bring you down. It's that caffeine gone crazy. Also, rhodiola is another supplement you can get. And then adaptogen herbs. And adaptogen herbs, you can Google this. There's a long list of them. Ashwagandha is popular, turkey tail. These are all things found in nature that we've come to realize really help to regulate our system and calm things and ease the nerves of life. The last couple of years with COVID have kept people on edge. Politics have kept people on edge. Everybody's got like this, this position that they feel one thing or the other, and then they feel uncomfortable about each other. The life on Earth in the last few years has really created a lot of added stress, and they have documented that we are at an all-time high for anxiety. Well, everybody's on their phones. They're getting stimulated by all the negative energy. They're not putting it down. Then we have all of this content that's making us feel unstable. So the adaptogen herbs are amazing and really help to drop things down, take that edge off. And again, I can't say enough about valerian root. I'll go back to that. It's really stinky. Valerian root's stinky. I'm going to warn you right now. When we first discovered valerian root for our household usage, I would have thought that he was going to leave me. He was like, "You want me to do what?" And now we're totally used to it. So just kind of be warned. The pills are better than the liquid in that category. Amino acids, GABA and 5-HTP. Again, you can just ask for these, GABA and then 5-HTP. Go to Sprouts and ask for those. When I talk about, one of the reasons I promote Sprouts, I don't have any partnership with them other than I adore them. When I talk about them, one of the reasons is because their products are really clean. They do a really good job of sourcing their products. So many supplements in like Walmart or CVS or Walgreens, and I can't speak for every single one, but I can speak it in a generalization. And even Costco. I love Costco for my organic groceries, but man, the products themselves on the supplements, they have junk in them. So they have stimulants and they have sugars, and they're not sourced from clean organic places, and Sprouts is. As far as vitamins, B6 promotes serotonin, but don't ever get too isolated on your B vitamins. Do a B complex because they support each other. So one B element will serve another B element, and that serves the whole system. So I know sometimes you'll see, oh, the science says B6 supports serotonin, I'm going to go after B6. You need different ones to support. They're building blocks. That's why you'll often see a B complex. Also your multivitamin. Multivitamins are great to support, and again, a clean source for multivitamin. Magnesium. So this is my favorite. I take this just about every night. It's the Natural Vitality Calm. Whoops, let's see. I'm not very good at holding this. Magnesium citrate, and it's a drink that I actually take at bedtime. You can take it anytime during the day and it will contribute, but I find that it has a little bit of added benefit at night. It helps to drop me down into that sleep. With magnesium citrate, one thing I want you to be aware of is that if it's really great if you have problems with being regular in the bathroom, it contributes to helping to relax. You know, it relaxes the whole system. It relaxes you for sleep and it relaxes you for the bathroom. You want to watch the quantity you're taking and just try it out a little at a time. It's a powder form. This one kind of has a little bit of a lemonade kind of flavor, and it's just a little scooper, and I mix it in water. I like ice cold water. You can mix it with hot liquids as well. Be careful because it does foam and it gets crazy big. So I'll put like a little bit of hot water in a big glass or cup, let it foam and be crazy, and then it settles down, and then I add the rest of the water and it's fine. So that's the rundown on that. However, if you have if you don't have any problems with constipation or regularity, I would recommend the magnesium glycinate. And so the citrate helps with bowel, and the glycinate helps with that stress and relaxation, but doesn't impact your bowel quite the same. And then I'm going to drop a bomb here and surprise you guys. No melatonin. No, don't take melatonin. Everybody thinks melatonin's great. The problem with taking melatonin is it tells your body to stop making its own melatonin. So all of these things we've talked about help to promote your natural melatonin. Taking melatonin puts the brakes on your own production, and you become dependent on it, and you need more and more and more. So if you are taking melatonin now, do all the things we talked about, as many as you can, right? A smidge a day, pick some and get good at them, and then pick some more and then get good at them. But peel back that melatonin. So I know that's a bomb and maybe even an emotional crutch for some of you. Alcohol and coffee are the last two notes that I have for tonight's episode. Alcohol, it's one of those things where people enjoy the relaxing element of it, but what you need to know is that it is impacting your sleep. Whether you realize it or not, the alcohol has about an hour's worth of a relaxant, a calming effect, and then it immediately follows that with a spike. So an hour later, you are getting a boost to your system, to your nervous system. You might be asleep, but your sleep is impacted. And this is where waking up depressed, anxious, not feeling like you got a full night's sleep, groggy, moody, grouchy, just foggy, that's the impact of alcohol. If you have something with dinner at 6 o'clock, that obviously isn't going to impact you the same as something at 8 o'clock. So just keep in mind that this is something that contributes to a sleep disruption. Alcohol in your life contributes to brain dysfunction and sleep dysfunction. It contributes to the toxicity in your system. Your body has to work harder. So I'm not against alcohol entirely. I enjoy a drink from time to time, but I understand what it does for my body and I manage that. And I think, when you pull back on the alcohol, I've had loved ones in my life that, very confidently and in a very sophisticated way handled their 2 cocktails, their 2 nightcaps in the evening for a lot of years. And then when they started to pull back on that, they realized how much they weren't struggling as they were before. And then they had even gone to 1, and then they were just like, I'm just going to save it for the weekends and special occasions because I need more sanity. So coffee, we all know coffee is a stimulant. We all know not to have it late in the day. The one big note I wanted, and also adrenal fatigue and the overstimulation of the system, just pulling back. They mixed studies, mixed reviews. As far as I can tell, 2 cups a day seems to be in a healthy zone as long as you're not loading it full of sugar and dairy and all kinds of junk. But if you're having a couple of clean cups of coffee a day, then the reviews are that coffee does have some value. But you know yourself, and if you're going through adrenal fatigue and if you're overstimulated and you're exhausted and you feel like you're in constant fight or flight response, put it in check, peel it back, do, a little bit less each day, fill up that cup a little bit less and see if you can fill back. But the real point I want to make is that coffee's half-life, for some, depending on how you metabolize it, you can still be metabolizing at a half value the cup at bedtime that you had at noon. So at bedtime, you can still be metabolizing on a half value the cup you had at noon. Pay attention to your body, peel back all the other stuff so that you can start listening to that. Everything about health and wellness is this big formula of all these pieces. And if we can peel back a variable, we can understand others. So hopefully that helps. And really, that's the rundown for tonight. Let's see, we're about 40 minutes in, so that's perfect. I like to keep it around 45 minutes.